It's not easy being a snake. It's hard to find food. Sometimes you get eaten by eagles. And if you eat something too big for you, you might just explode. But don't take my word for it. Let's check in with some experts. Hi, I'm here with Minute Earth. First, a little background. Snakes are all over the world. There are about 3,900 species of them, and they come in a whole bunch of sizes. Like, whoa, that's big. The longest snake ever recorded was a 25-foot reticulated python that ate a water buffalo in Indonesia. So snakes can be huge, but they're still limited by the size of their jaws and their stomachs. Now, we already know what happens when a snake tries to eat something too big for its jaw. It can't close its mouth. The snake can't eat the prey, so it just dies of starvation or gets eaten by a predator or something. But what happens when a snake eats something too big for its stomach? Well, we actually have a few clues. In 1997, a 7-anda, 2-foot Burmese python named Medusa swallowed a 2-anda, 2-foot mouse that was pregnant. The mouse was way too big for her stomach, but she managed to force it down. X-rays at the time showed that the mouse was very obviously not digesting. So researchers were able to track what happened to it as it moved through Medusa's digestive system. About 10 hours after eating the mouse, Medusa regurgitated it, meaning she spit it back up. That suggests that the snake's stretchy stomach stopped the mouse from getting any farther. But other studies suggest that a snake's meal doesn't need to be regurgitated to be uneaten. In 2008, an 8-foot reticulated python named Sona Ada, 4-foot-long gecko. It's almost half of Sona's total length, and this was no small snack. The gecko weighed more than 2 pounds. It's like Sona eating a bag of 40 of her own body weight in mass. We don't have exact measurements of Sona's stomach, but based on X-rays, researchers estimate that her stomach could stretch to accommodate that enormous meal. If that's true, then the gecko would have been completely inside her stomach. Which raises the question of how do snakes digest things that are technically outside their bodies? To answer that, let's turn to Leslie Boyer, professor of herpetology and director of the Arizona Center for the Biology of Herpetology at the University of Arizona. Boyer studies horned lizards, which are also known as horny toads. They're found in the southwestern United States and northern Mexico. But even though she studies horned lizards, she knows a thing or two about snakes and their stretchy stomachs. She explained that snakes basically have 2 stomachs. One is the regular kind that mixes up digested acids and enzymes to break down prey. But before that, it's a stretchy sac connected to the beginning of the digestive tract where food goes after being swallowed. That sac acts like a bellows, sucking air into the gut to expand it. Boyer explained that this air sac allows the snake to keep swallowing prey until the stomach is full. But you might be wondering, if the food isn't in the stomach, then where exactly does it go? To answer that, let's follow a bit of food as it makes its way through a snake's digestive system. Here's that stretchy sac again. As the snake swallows, it expands like a balloon. Then muscles in the walls of the digestive tract move the food along like squeezing a tube of toothpaste. But as the food moves, the stretchy sac contracts, pushing the food in front of it toward the stomach. Once it reaches the stomach, the muscles in the stomach walls mix everything up with digested acids and enzymes. Finally, the rest of the digestive tract absorbs nutrients from the now partially digested meal, and what's left over gets passed along and expelled out the other end. So even if a snake eats something bigger than its stomach, the meal will eventually get completely inside the snake. But if the meal is too big, the snake won't be able to squeeze that meal through its digestive tract. It'll just end up blocking the entire thing. Boyer told me that when a snake eats something too big for its stomach, the snake essentially dies of a bowel obstruction. The only way out is to regurgitate the meal. Now, this isn't always easy. Sometimes the snake needs to stretch and curve its body to make it happen. Sometimes the meal comes out backwards. Sometimes the snake just can't get the meal back up, and it dies trying. But if the snake manages to spit out the big meal, what happens next depends on the snake and what it ate. Some snakes get sick from regurgitating their meals. Others seem totally fine after a bit of a rest. But for other snakes, like the Burmese python, regurgitating a big meal is just as dangerous as eating it. In 2017, scientists reported that a python died while trying to regurgitate a rat that was twice the snake's width. The rat got stuck halfway out of the snake, and the poor snake ended up suffocating. Moral of the story, don't eat anything wider than your head. Unless you're a snake, it's hard enough to find food as it is without accidentally killing yourself. Thank you for watching this episode of Minute Earth.